Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It is great to see you this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. What a beautiful sunny day it is today. I feel like I'm getting blasted with sunlight. Too much light. but I'm not. I can complain about anything, as you know. I'm not complaining about that. It is good to see you. Welcome back. I'm going to see who is here, and we are going to get going on um, an episode of Coffee Time wherein we look at the latest issue of Rug Hooking Magazine, which really is, it's a very thin issue, but I think it's my favorite one ever. I'm enjoying it so, all of the features I'm enjoying so much. Let's talk about that and a couple of other things I have to show you quickly. I'm feeling very low energy. I am super sorry for missing you on Monday. But as most of you know, I have a huge problem with depression, and it is huge. So when you don't see me, and most of you know when I'm not feeling well, if I'm feeling sick, I run the show with a box of Kleenex right here. But when I'm really not feeling well, I'm laying on the floor and I can't get up. So literally, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to stick with you, but we'll see how this thing plays out. I'm with you today anyway. Let's hope for the best. Sherry, it is great to see you. Happy Wednesday. Stephanie, good morning in sunny Arizona. Great to see you. I'm working on an order for you, I think. I think that's what's on my table right now. Sharon, great to see you in Vancouver, Canada. You're having a whinge the last live time, always getting the magazine later. Oh, no, no. You know, I feel like I always get it later, too. This one I got quickly. But I know there's been times with this and Atha that I feel like everybody's had it for 2 weeks by the time I have it. Who knows what that is about, but I know what you mean. It is super frustrating. I hope you have it now. Shannon, great to see you. It was so much fun running the class on Sunday. Um, I was super crazy on Sunday, but I hope it didn't show. We ran a great class designing like the fairy tale storybook. And it went so well. So many great ideas came up, and it was a real inspiring class for me, too. So I'm really looking forward to kind of digging in. It was a class where we didn't, it was inspired. Obviously, everybody's been talking about fairy tale rugs because of this Promogown Teachers show that's been going around the country, looking at all these fairy tale rugs, right? Famous fairy tales. But these rugs are illustrations from the fairy tale book. So we're looking at like Walter Crane's and Arthur Rackham's, things like that, which is great for inspiration, but they're typically very involved. Whereas in this class, we were really looking at doing original designs using motifs from the fairy tales. And it's remarkable how much fun it is to just get going talking about stories. It really reminded me of, I went to grad school for literature, and my favorite thing about that whole time was just sitting around talking about stories with other people. It's incredibly fun to hear what other people have to say about the same thing or some layer of interest or insight that another person can put on the same story. But in this case, when you're talking about fairy tales, most people know all the stories. So the starting point is there already. It was just extra fun. I will be putting up later the next Design Light class, which will be there for you if you want to sign up. It's very, very different, yet again, from what we've done before. It's going to be designing like the great pattern makers. For example, Annie Albers, William Morris, Escher. So, like, as I said in class, we're not looking at twisting staircases or anything like that. We're looking at how to make patterns in different ways using just paper and folding it up in specific ways so that you get your repeats. Different computer programs that help with different things that can get you going, so that for your designing, whether you're just looking at borders, you're looking at doing more interesting backgrounds, it is good to have that feather in your cap, right? And the principle of making repeat designs and tessellating designs in your bag of tricks. It helps with everything, even if it's just filling in backgrounds. So I thought that'll be really different. It's a more technical class. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see who's interested in that. But that will be announced later today. So that is coming up next at the end of November and early December. Barbara, great to see you. It was great seeing you the other night in class too. And Chrissy, great to see you. Happy coffee time. I'm not that much better, but I'm standing up today, so that is a huge improvement. Linda, great to see you. Happy Humpy. Thank you. It is a great issue. It was such a small issue. I thought, oh boy, what's going on? But wait till you see. As soon as I crack it open, you're gonna know it's going to be okay. It's a great issue. It's definitely quantity. Sorry, quality, not quantity this time. Mom, happy coffee time. Great to see you. Ice on the bird bath again. Oh, I love that. I love that image. I wish I was there. We're going to have to go up there soon. It has been nonstop stuff with the kids, too. It's just like nonstop. And they had a day off yesterday for voting. So that was, I mean, I went and did my voting, and that's why the schools were closed. But creating more chaos, you know. Crystal, great to see you. And Beverly, great to see you. Ready with your magazine in your hand. Good. Joy, great to see you in Point Charlotte, Florida. And Jane, you made it. I hope that your headache is feeling better. I feel so sorry when that happens. Linda H. in Massachusetts, great to see you. Barbara, you are there. Good to see you. Karen in Black Forest, Colorado, great to see you. In April, Sonia in Honey in Hot. Sunny and Hot. Honey, whoo, there's something there. Sunny and Hot, St. Francisville, Louisiana. Great to see you. And Dave in Toronto, thank you for that email. Those were all great ideas. I really appreciate it. I need some ideas. Courtney, great to see you too. The article on dying. Shannon, that was a Sharon, that was a good one. That wasn't one I was going to cover right now. Maybe I will though if you're interested. Um, Interesting. That is a good article. Cindy, great to see you. You know, I was talking with Jane this morning because she helps me with so much stuff. Thank you. And we were talking about. I'm going to try sitting down here because I'm already getting tired from standing up. We were talking about dying a lot, and I have kind of fallen behind the whatever. Lost my metaphor. Pool game. So I'm thinking January is our month for talking about dying just nonstop because it'll give me some time to set up one of the rooms in the studio here where we can just do dying and I can just record short videos and longer videos and maybe do some more classes that have to do with dying, both maybe in person and on Zoom. So there'll be possibilities. We'll see what happens. Dawn, great to see you. Happy Monday, happy Wednesday. Something exciting happened this morning, and man, I needed it. I got from Kathleen, and Kathleen, if you're watching, I have not had time to write you back yet, but I will. I have not been a big computer person in the last few days, but I will write you back because you sent. We went back and forth, Kathleen and I, a while back. We got so excited about carpet bags that are made from rugs. So not like the Mary Poppins carpet bag, but are you sitting down? This kind of deal, right? And what this is essentially is a rug, right? I mean, it's just a classic kind of promo gown, mid 20th century welcome mat sized rug, and with handles and rivets and stuff like this. And indeed, it has been. It's on. Well, it's backed. It's backed with what looks like monk's cloth, but there is obviously a layer in between. This might be a commercial one. I'm not sure the rug itself, but the way that it's sewn and everything, you can tell by the mitering in the corners and all that exactly how it's made. So Kathleen and I were talking about this like crazy because these are just so cool, and I really needed a surprise. So this is going to be a lot of fun, right? This is going to be a lot of fun through the holiday season, doing a little Christmas shopping and filling up those stockings and stuff like that. It's a nice big bag and it's beautiful. Why don't we do, yes, carpet bags? You want to do one. Well, you know, the great thing is you can either do one or you can buy an existing rug or take a rug that you bought. You know, so many of us, myself included, myself leading the parade, have bought a lot of rugs that I don't need because I got excited and or it was a great day or whatever. And then as time goes on, I'm honing my collection and culling and removing ones that I don't need, that don't fit any particular area of collecting that I do and don't speak to me anymore. I've got plenty of voices happening without those rugs speaking to me, I can tell you. But some of those are still lovely, and I think, well, I don't really want to get rid of them, but what to do with them? This is maybe the thing, right? The smaller ones, the welcome mat size ones, this is maybe the thing. So I thought also maybe later toward December or also in January, maybe we should think about doing a class or a series of videos or both on turning rugs into bags like this, these big tote bags. Because they're not going to be practical when it's super rainy and things like that. But particularly like, in the winter season, if you go to indoor markets or Christmas markets or bazaars or things like that, these kinds of indoor bags are great and they're enormous. They're also great to put your hooking supplies in because they're super appropriate, right? So this is kind of fun because I haven't done this kind of thing since my costume theater days. Using hardware and choosing hardware because there's all different kinds of handles for bags, right? but this could be something fun for us. And Kathleen, I enjoyed. I love getting. I mean, I get a lot of mail, and I don't always think to say because I'm that kind of a pig how much I appreciate it. The day moves really fast for me, too fast, and I don't always say how much. I'm going to choke myself up. I appreciate all of the letters and thoughts and emails I get, and I always mean to answer them immediately, but sometimes I get dragged away by an order that needs to ship before the postman comes, or the school calls and there's something with the kids or something like that. So I really appreciated this, and it was such a sweet note where Kathleen is saying, "I'm not going to read it all because it's I don't know if it's meant to be a super personal note, but I just loved reading about." Kathleen said, that back in the day she used to love to buy stationery, and this is like a nice little vintage stationery piece here with a little rabbit. What's that artist's name? Marjolaine. BAS something. I always do this and I forget the name. She's Dutch. It's a hard name. But it's on a beautiful piece of stationery. And Kathleen's talking about how when she was younger, she used to save up money for nice stationery when people used to actually send cards and Nancy Drew books. That really spoke to me. All the babysitting money and the paper route money. That really spoke to me. I really, really enjoyed the letter. And yes, we will be getting together without a doubt. I'm getting it together. I will get it together one way or the other. I will have to, right? Going back and forth like a crazy boomerang or pendulum is just not healthy. So, and that sparked another thing that I've kind of forgot about, but that's it. Marjorie Buston. I don't know how you remember that. That it's such a weird name for me, both first name and surname. I have a real trouble figuring it out. Oh, Dawn says I just sold a hooked bag, a pouch really. Oh, I bet it was beautiful, Dawn. If you're on the Facebook page too, which I think you are, you should post a picture of it. That sounds amazing. It's so good to use rugs as well, right? To have like utilitarian work around you. It's super fun. I sometimes struggle because I do have a few hooked bags that were hooked in a very narrow strip, like a 3, and I do find that those are more problematic than these that I think this one is made from yarn. But the really thin ones, I have a couple of them, are lovely, but they do seem to want at the seams to come apart. And I think it's just the nature of those really small, narrow loops, right where the stitching is, and that's an area of a lot of stress, where you fill up your bag with stuff. If you're like me, no matter how big your bag is, it's like, it becomes the Mary Poppins bag. But what struck me about Kathleen's note also is that I had been working on, and I kind of came to the screeching halt, but I'd been working on the next swatch set, which really is ready. I've just got to do a little bit of refining. And I think I mentioned this a while ago because I was like projecting forward when I was more organized a couple months ago. I was projecting forward to this set, and it's going to be like the Girl Detective set. So this should be coming out this week as well, before the weekend. And what it is a series of swatch colors. So there's a lot of dark colors in here, kind of atmospheric, good colors for winter, good primitive colors. And they are based on the titles of Nancy Drew books, Judy Bolton books. Um, well, Vicky, who's the air stewardess? Vicky something, right? Gosh, what is it? I can't believe I can't think of it. And Cherry Ames. Like I had a whole bunch that I pulled from because I've read all these girls' books and I love them so much. So I'm going to be setting up a nice vignette behind me in a different wall where we have all these covers of girl books, maybe, and whether it's your era or not, because I mean it's not mine, but I still read them because they're so gripping for the young, the very young and the very old. I think they run the whole sort of gamut of interest and certainly charm. So we're going to be looking at that, and this swatch set is going to be really pretty, and it's going to come out with a series of kind of funny detective covers that are like made up, right? So like they look like the covers of girls' detective novels from the mid-century, but they're actually brand new designs. So I thought that might be fun. Yeah, they were awesome letters. They were awesome. And I also have a great collection of note cards and note paper and postcards, and once in a blue moon, I tend to send physical notes to Donna that has Whispering Hill, the rug hooking store in the quiet corner, because she's a little bit older, and I know she does email with me, but I know she loves to get a letter, and she loves to write a letter. So if I write her a physical letter, she writes back a physical letter. But then if I'm in a hurry and I fire off an email, just all sloppy, and she'll write an email back because I think she's thinking I don't want to stress her out, make her work if she's busy. Um, but I know she loves getting the letters, and I have this huge stash of nice stationery for that one purpose. Rug Hooking Magazine, volume number, what is this? 34, number 3. This is November, December 2022. We are there. The Women's Hall of Fame is the theme of this issue. This really is, if this could be my favorite issue ever. I really like all of the articles in here. I started photographing them last night. I think we probably have enough to run through the show, but we'll see. I have to say, this is my favorite cover of all time. We all feel differently, different things speak to us, but the way that I feel about color and rainbow spectrums, and particularly being a person who really grew up in the 80s, I love a good pastel rainbow spectrum. It's one of the things that gets me every time. And speaking of which, I didn't mean to make this association, but I'm almost done with my turkey. This is called Turkey Lurkey. Almost done. Monitor is never good for colors because this is super, super pastel, the same kinds of pastel as these kinds of colors. And I've got a nice bright, not as bright as it looks on the monitor, a nice bright tail here, a little bit different. Really, just to give you an idea, this is like Flower Power Pink, the brightest possible pink. Little Tom the Turkey, more traditional. I hooked very, very, very light 2022 here, and I have some really pastel clouds here too. So you'll have to look on Facebook or on Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm just finishing up the bits and pieces, and and you can see, I'm wondering how much having this color wheel as it's a magnet for the hook and the scissors. I'm wondering how much that affects my choosing of colors, because if you remember this piece, I pulled it out twice, and I'm always telling you not to do that because it's a waste of time and energy, but I pulled it out twice, and I kept coming to brighter colors, and I'm thinking, are you hypnotizing me when my mind is weak, color wheel? And if it is, well done, because it worked out great. And I'm loving I've just got 3 or 4 colors that I'm kind of striping along the edges. So I'm almost there with that. Turkey Lurkey is beautiful. Mom says it's almost Turkey Lurkey time. My sister always, I wrote to the Patreon members, my sister always, you know that song Turkey Lurkey from the Burt Bacharach musical? Promises, Promises. It's Turkey Lurkey time. Tom Turkey ran away, but he just came home. It's a metaphor, but it's a cute song, and it's actually about Christmas and a man who strays. But we love that song, and routinely when I arrive at Thanksgiving at my sister's house, she has got it blasting in a way that you think like it's like a Def Leppard concert or something like that. Thank you, Jill. Jill, I owe you a message too. Whew, oh God, am I behind? I like the magnetic wheel. I do too, Barbara. I look, it's very strong. It's the strongest magnet I've had so far, this magnetic wheel. And from what I understand, they all come in because Linda Ann, I'm not sure if Linda Ann is logged on, one of my good buddies, we're all good buddies, but I talk with Linda Ann a lot. She's got one very similar to this, but a different center. So what we figured out, like I've got the planet and she maybe has the stars or a more moon kind of a thing. It's not the same, is what I mean. But I'm wondering if they all have the same kind of theme, like if they're all kind of like astronomy, astrology. I don't know. But it's a beautiful working color wheel. And I find that I am kind of hypnotized by it a lot. And maybe it is affecting my decisions, but it works really well. And it is just, it's a good piece of eye candy to catch your eye while you're doing some monotonous background type hooking, right? Endless hooking. Ryan, so excited for that advent calendar. Me too. That's the thing I'm working on this afternoon. So got a couple orders on the table, and I haven't stopped working through this time, just so you know. I will routinely collapse onto the floor, get back at the table, work. It's just the way that I am. I've always been this way, so I'm used to it, but it is exhausting. The orders are going out like crazy. I shipped like 4, maybe 6 things this morning. Yesterday, even more. So everything is moving ahead, including the advent calendars. And they are getting better and better as I go through the studio and collect things to put inside of them. When I said that, my eye just caught something, I'm not telling you what it is, that I thought, oh my God, I'm looking at it right now. How did I not think of putting some of that into the box? It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Some of the feature articles this month. Gosh, is the magazine $11.95? Magazines are a lot, aren't they? Um, Fun and simple holiday gifts, ornaments, and decorations. The Rainbow Challenge, and this image is part of the Rainbow Challenge. Owl portraits. Quantity dyeing. And call for entries, celebration number 33. Let's do that first. Occasionally I bring up calls for things that I think it's important because you need to remember that even if you're a beginner, you are doing good work and your work is unique. Nobody's doing the same work as you because only you can do that work. So when there comes a call for entries, whether it's a theme call from ATHA magazine or whether it's a celebration call, absolutely put yourself out there. Who cares? Who cares, right? If it doesn't work out and it's I hate to use the word rejection. I'm trying to think of a better word than rejection, but just join the club. It's a good club of people who have been rejected for all kinds of different things. Don't let that stop you from trying, right? Depression era slogan, right, from the 1920s, never try, never win. So make sure that you think about what your best work is. If you feel like putting something out there, be such a nice feather in your cap, but I think the feather in your cap really is the trying and putting it out there. So call for number 33 celebration, volume number 33, celebration of hand-hooked rugs. There's a big article on what the photography specs are, what they're looking for, how many full pictures, how many detailed pictures they need. It's all spelled out for you. So, and the form is right here too. So think about that. Crystal, you should be sending something in while you're sitting there with the magazine on your lap. You should be sending something in. Yeah, this is, I mean, it tells you exactly what to do, and it's not difficult. It's always a pain getting the camera out and doing photographs and referring back to the article about what exactly there's. It's a super pain. Nobody enjoys that part of it, but just do it. It'll take just an hour or so. Just get it done, get your stuff out there, give them a lot of great work to choose from. And you might not see the great merit in your work, but somebody else might, right? You might think, oh, technically it's not that great or original, and someone else might say, this is crazy. Like this, we haven't seen this before. I watched last night that documentary on Weird Al. Remember Weird Al Yankovic? Um, I mean, it was weird. It was definitely weird, but I enjoyed it. And like my takeaway from it was he was really weird, right? And he put himself out there doing these parody songs when no one else was doing it, and everybody thought it was like the least artistic, most like silly, stupid area of music to get into at a time when music was pretty artsy. And he went and did it, and he killed it out of the park. Somebody just listened and said, that's really different. Like it's not that it's original, it's not that it's amazing, but it is really different. You've got something, right? And that je ne sais quoi is something that you cannot measure, you cannot find, you cannot pin down. You might have it. So send those rugs out there, see what happens. Next feature is really lovely. I'm going to show you some pictures on this one. Dave says, I used a rare earth magnet. Oh, yeah. And a metal toffee lid holds everything. Homemade. Dave. When we start doing a magazine, Jane and I have been talking about this a lot, something like Wall Street Journal. We've been talking about this for a while, but it's happening. I put as a date for myself 2023. Like I want to start at the beginning of the year, just getting going with some issues. I'm absolutely going to be looking for stuff like that, funny tips and tricks, funny articles by you, um, patterns, and all kinds of interesting stuff. That's exactly the kind of stuff that I love the most. It's a great idea. So let's look at either you hate Weird Al or you love him. I agree. I mean, I don't really like popular music that much, so the songs don't get me, but they're quite funny with different words, and that part I like. I still don't really like the songs, but I love the change of the word. It's funny, right? It's funny once or twice. It's not funny eternally. But yeah, it's like I guess it's like any comedy, right? You hear the joke and you laugh and then you move on. Um, yeah, unless you're my son Teddy, and then you tell the same joke so many times and every day that by the time we get home from school, I have tears pouring down my face because I can't handle it anymore. But maybe that's a childhood thing too. Autism in childhood. All right, let's come over here and see what we're talking about. Stuff like this. Are you kidding me? Hook a festive house. Well, you know what I'm going to be hooking? It's going to be a festive house. Honest to God, this is so cute. They give you a template for these little houses, and you can see you can do all kinds of things with them. Remember when everybody used to buy those little wooden cut out like jigsaw cut out houses and line them up over the door jamb? And how cute that was. I still look for those in antique stores. Some of them speak to me more than others, and then they got to be kind of mass produced and it became a little less interesting. But remember how cute that, I mean, it was just the way that you felt when you walked underneath it. It was kind of like, it was just a bit of a moment, right? So colorful and sweet. That's what these remind me of. Um, I'm thinking you could make them quite three-dimensional, like more like with a brick in them or stuffed or something like that, something for the mantle, or they could be quite flat, as you can see here. But it's a great template. There are really detailed instructions. They give you, it's a beautiful article, and I should say this project is by Gwen Dixon. So, Coming Home for Christmas, Hook a Festive House. I think the idea of a house at Christmas is even more romantic and a perfect fit than even at other times of the year, right? The whole coming home for Christmas thing, the symbolism is so strong at this time of year. And of course, you could make a little house that looks like your house. That's a no-brainer. There's lots of nice photographs from Gwen Dixon that look that really walk you through. This is a way advanced one. It goes way from a sketch on backing to putting in little embellishments like this, little proddy wreath on the door. She's showing you how she's hooked definitely different sizes, right? In the roof, that's probably I would say a 7. And then in the windows, something more like well, it's yarn or a number 3, maybe even a number 2. Around the door, maybe a number 4. So very different widths here. And she's doing a little bit with proddy, lots of illustrations to walk you right through front and back, stuff like this. Adding beads for a little bit of bling, little proddy wreath, little greenery in the window boxes. I mean, who doesn't want that? So this is just a really, really charming article with, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not that confident doing like three-dimensional stuff, this is outside my wheelhouse, well, you've got 3 pages of that. So essentially 6 pages of how to. You'll be able to get there without a doubt. That might be 8 actually. Actually, it's more. It's 8 or 9 pages because then she's showing you how to finish the back with bias tape, right, or cotton tape, whatever you call it. So it's going to bring you right from the beginning to the end. This is also going to be a great article for reminding yourself how to finish a shaped rug that has an irregular perimeter to it, an irregular border. Interesting. And then it goes into the article on using the rainbows. It was actually another page after that. It was still in that is quite a long article. That will bring you all the way from absolute beginner to seasoned pro, working on a series of houses that is going to make a village, right? Because you'll be speeding along so fast. I love this article. I love I love rainbows all year round. I have to say, I foolishly thought that maybe winter was the only season where there were no opportunities to do subjects that involved a rainbow. Well, this changed everything. So this is Candle Glow, designed and hooked by Laura Pierce of Petaluma, California, 2021. She said, I had many noodles from the 4 swatches of the Rainbow Challenge. Hold that thought for a second. But not every color in every shade. I've been using rainbow swatches for a while, so I dug up the leftovers and added them to my new project pile. Outline and fill is one of my favorite rug hooking techniques. So let's say that again. Outline and fill. So for beginners, what it sounds like, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is, and that's how easy it is too. Outline and fill is one of my favorite rug hooking techniques. Gold texture outlines for the candle and table, a smidge of pale gray to outline a couple of light circles and to highlight the top of the candle holder. Starting with the lightest and brightest colors in the center, each circle of light is more saturated with color, or was more saturated. Let's say becomes more saturated with color. Warm colors close to the flame, violet. Warm colors close to the flame, violet. It's traditional to run out of wool and make do, as my mother frequently did, a dark plaid background to set off the glow and 2 rows of gold. Okay, so that background is dark plaid. Interesting. I read it as solid, but it's even more interesting being dark plaid. Why not bring in a few more window panes of color when you've got this kind of color going on? I mean, this honestly is one of my favorite rugs, if not my favorite rug of all time. I'm not kidding. For who knows why things speak to you the way that they do. This makes me so crazy, and I've seen it before. Um, I didn't realize it was from 2021. I thought it might have been a little bit older than that, but it's crossed my radar a few times, and I just go nuts every time I see it because I love it so much. I just feel like if I had a memoir going or something, this could be the cover. And somehow this is how I have felt so much of my life. Just these colors, the symbolism. I just love it. And I love the technical idea of what she's doing, going from the flame, obviously the lightest values where that glow, that haze would be, working outward toward these darker rings of color, still very spectrum, color wheel oriented, right? Speaking of the color wheel, like it's right there for you. And it's not realistic, and that's part of the beauty of it. um, there's so many colors present in this piece, and the contrast and drama of it for me is so great because it's a candle in the darkness, and with this kind of subject you fully expect there to be not much color, and yet this is one of the most colorful pieces I've ever seen. I mean, just taking that opportunity to pound the square peg into the circle hole and force all of those little breakdowns of color to slice up the pie into that many pieces, that you have that many places to drop lines and fill in color, to me is brilliant. And to put it in okay, so I am feeling crazy lately, right? I haven't gotten to the doctor quite yet. We're getting there. I'm going to take this a step further and say just the idea of this piece, a candle at night or in the darkness, and the fact that somebody thought to break up the darkness with so many bright, happy, colorful little pieces, that story to me is as important as the way that the thing looks. So much beauty here, so much interest, such an amazing piece, and such a worthy cover piece. She's talking about the swatches, and here are the swatches. So this article is by Laura Pierce, photography by the contributors. So this was called the Rainbow Zoom Challenge. Zoom, like the program. Inspiration from a masterpiece helped beat the pandemic blues. What do you do when you're stuck at home and your friends are so far away? Zoom. I've been Zooming with Rug Friends once a week since July of 2020. And she talks about what they share and how they have some good laughs. And then she goes on to say Rug Camp on the Oregon coast was canceled for a few weeks before our date of April 2020. It left many of us without our yearly congregation of friends at the beach, along with classes not taught or attended. It was a letdown for all of us. I heard about Zoom, and then she talks about how they got into organizing meetings and figuring out that it made sense to get together this way. In July of 2020, I replenished my rainbow swatches and added a fourth value: stacks of rainbow pastel swatches with no place to go. I proposed a challenge to my Zoom friends based on a wonderful painting I saw at the DeYoung Museum in San Francisco. Frank Stella's impressive 12-foot square painting, Letter on the Sill. Letter on the Sill. I'm trying to translate it. To 1974. A rainbow letter. It says letter, but this is a candle. I'm confused. I'd have to pull up I don't have my phone with me. I'd have to pull up the Frank Stella painting. Oh, Frank Stella. You know the artist Frank Stella? That real sort of, very kind of harsh city subjects. Um, if I'm thinking of the right person, really, it looks more like Art Deco lines, but super graphic and a bit later. But really exaggerated, like body parts out of proportion people. I think I'm thinking of the right person, Frank Stella. A lot of architectural stuff too. Lots of suspension bridges and um, perspective points. Right, very architectural, very line driven, very city. If I'm thinking of, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna look it up after the stream. That's interesting. But it sounds like the painting is called Letter on the Sill, 1974. A rainbow of vibrant colors outlines a 12 by 12 square with gray values in alternate outlines. The painting glows and beckons you. I mailed a set of four rainbow swatches to each of the gals, while Lori and Louise dyed a beautiful gray swatch for each of us. The challenge was simple: design a small rug and use the rainbow and gray swatches. It felt good to have something new to work and plan on. We each worked on our own challenges. So they weren't all doing the candle, they were using the swatches. So there, and I have to say, let me just go back to this for a second. I'm not moving quickly at all, am I? One of the things I love about this piece, besides what I've already said, is I love this kind of antique gold brownie border. And then beyond the border, she whipped in this very multicolored kind of midnights. Maybe it's the colors of the plaid that make up the background. Dark, 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 black, navy, aubergine, grapes, heathery colors, dark. Really, really nice whipping. So the idea was the swatches go out, and some of the other girls made the grays, and everybody does their own piece. There's quite a few pieces featured in here. This piece I'm showing you now is called Fox Rugs, Tails, and Snouts. And let me just make sure I can attribute this. Yep, my leftover wool was used in 3 other projects. First, my sister-in-law Louise, who just needed a bit to complete her piece. The second was into my fox rugs. Oh, okay, so this might still be, no, this is Lori, I'm sorry, this is Lori Wiles, Wiles. Um, this is her second piece. She did 2 pieces. I'm going to show you the other one as well. So she did 2 pieces, a rabbit rug and the fox rug, and she used her rainbow swatches that I just showed, but she also added some more colors. So this is Fox Rugs, Tails, and Snouts. Isn't this a wonderful example of multiples? You know what this is also a wonderful example of? Shameless plug, pattern making. Um, yeah, they do look like coyotes. I think they're foxes, but I'm not sure. They are amazing. They're little hit or miss bodies, an unexpected background. Pattern making, right? So this is one of the things we're going to be looking at in the upcoming class too. Not just multiples, but using multiples in pattern making and being able to make, if you were to take this square, this one won't do it. But with a little shifting and a little bit of math, it would. Being able to, if you wanted to, do, say, 9 of the same drawing and have them fit each other if you wanted to, right? So you could then butt them up against each other or space them out in shadow boxes, but they would connect. So this one won't, but you see what I mean? It's right on the precipice of being able to. And then this is the one with the rabbits that's called Rabbit Rug, Tails, and Outlines. So very different color backgrounds. You know, the thing with using hit or miss is we tend to think we need to do dark on light, light on dark. You can go full blast hit or miss and then just another solid color, or in this case, 2, right? This, sorry, foxes. You don't really need a horizon line with this one. It would work without, but I like the horizon line, and it gives you the feeling that the foxes are on the move, right? They are solitary animals, aren't they? So it's kind of a novelty to see them in this kind of configuration as a group. What is a group? What is the multiple of foxes called? What's the plural? Who's got that book from the guy from what's his name? Come on, Mom. Actor Studio. You know, he passed away this year, I think, and he did that book about the plurals of what different kinds of animals are called, like murder of crows, something like that. Um, the book is called Expectancy, I think, of Larks. Almost had it. Anyway, this article walks us through quite a few really lovely rugs, including this one by Louise Jenkins of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, 2020. Damage to pastels is 26 by 14. And it said, after we talked about Frank Stella's artwork, I thought about Joseph Albers. You know, it's funny that she said that because I was just talking about Annie Albers, because Annie Albers was a great textile pattern maker, and indeed she designed hooked rugs too. And she's one of the 3 people I'll be talking about in the Design Light class. Joseph was her husband and a glass artist in many mediums. He worked in many mediums. They were like a power couple of the arts. Interesting. It's such a small world, isn't it? Um, Joseph Albers in his color studies, he was interested in color theory and how colors interact with each other. So I thought I would explore color interactions with pastels and grays. Oh, that's a great idea. I'm a good higgledy-piggledy hooker. He doesn't look higgledy-piggledy at all, but not very good at straight hooking. Okay, so this was her chance to improve. I see. And she really did. This is some fantastic and very tidy directional hooking. I tend to avoid pastels and go for bright colors. This was another challenge. I kept my design very simple so that the colors and values would do the work. I did 1 row of the darkest gray, then 1 row of the lightest pastel, then 1 row of the darkest gray, alternating until all of the 8 different lightest colored pastels were hooked. Then I did a row of the next darkest gray, then 1 row of the next lightest pastel, and so on. When I finished all the straight lines, I decided to frame it with squares using the same basic concept: lightest pastels, darkest gray, and so on. So this is a mathematical formula. It's not going to help to hear me rattling it off like a laundry list, but you can tell just looking at this and hearing what you just heard, this is math, right? And this is very comforting. Working in this way is very comforting to people who are more on the technical side than the creative side, because you know that you can really lean into this and say, okay, well, I got this now. What I'm doing is creating an abstract rug, and I'm playing within the parameters of these rules, and I'm going to write the rules down, and I'm going to write down the pattern of the rules and the color changes. So this is a much more technical approach, but for somebody, it sounds like Louise was super creative and colorful. She's that. Thank you, Mom. Lipton. That's right, James Lipton. That's it. Um, the exaltation of larks. That's it. Thank you. And Karen says the group of foxes is called a skulk or leash. You're kidding. I never would have gotten those. I would have lost the million. A skulk or a skulk of foxes or leash of. Isn't that great? That is so rich. Yeah, that just, it has so much imagery, doesn't it? Don't forget to thumbs up. Thank you, Mom. Don't forget to thumbs up. I appreciate that, and thank you for thumbs up, shares, all that stuff. Lately, I've had a lot of trouble with shares on Facebook. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know if you have too, but it's super frustrating. So another pastel rug. There's a lot in this article. I'm not going to show you all of them. They are done with the rainbow hues and the grays, and they are all really different, extremely artistic, super super lovely. I just don't want to do a huge spoiler alert, and the sketch for the candle glow pattern is there too. So a great reason to buy this magazine. If you subscribe or not, it should be at like bookstores. It should be on Amazon. Um, Actually, I'm just going to say with Amazon, if you order it, if they don't send it immediately, you might accidentally get the wrong issue. That's happened to me. I'd almost rather get it on eBay, because then you know you're talking about the right month. Up to you. But yeah, sometimes it can be tricky. So then we move on to the next article, and I'm really looking at every article here because this time for me every article is really interesting. Doesn't mean that they aren't always all interesting. It's just I'm just looking at them for my own happiness and interest. A project to pine for. So I told you as we get toward December, we are going to be looking at making those little woolly trees, right? This is a little bit different. This is making little pine cones and branches, right? Let me show you. Why am I showing you the magazine when I took the time to put it into this form? A project to pine for. Simple holiday decor in a wide range of colors. Project and photography by Mary Annunziato and Jackie Burke. This is a wonderful how-to article. This is honestly over the top. Look at these pine cones and this pretty plaid. I mean, it looks so frosty and lovely, doesn't it? Lots of how-to information to get you there, right? You can absolutely do this. It is all how-to. Just series of numbers with very quick bullet points telling you what you need to do to figure out how to do this kind of bling. It is such good bling too. It really is. A second page with like different colors of the pine cones, showing you how the wire part works, because it's built on a wire with little bits of glue. Very easy. Definitely on the crafty side, but the finished project not crafty. Finished project very very fine. I could really see making these and sticking them out of a little jug, like if you collect different kinds of pottery, stuff like that, could be so good, right? I wonder if that's the last one that I got online. So I'm going to go to the magazine now. Sonia says, I won this kit at Solder last year. Did you, with the pine cones? Did you get started on it? Or, I mean, it's a little bit early still. Maybe you're going to get started on. How fun is that? Oh, that is so cool. It looks really easy. It really does. I mean, for people who make rugs, it looks really easy. Not ridiculously. It's a nice thing. It's not pipe cleaners, right? It's a step up from that for sure, but really lovely. And then there's this nice article by Anne Bond called Old Lang Syne, and it's to this tis the season to be creative. Old Lang Syne started at it. Old Lang Syne is one of her patterns, one of Anne Bond's patterns, and it's pretty recognizable. I've seen it myself quite a bit. She does so many great patterns with this really vertical orientation and storytelling from top to bottom. Very graphic, very whimsical. But this particular pattern is called Old Lang Syne. So she talks about Old Lang Syne started as a rug that combined Christmas and New Year's with a whimsical twist. We decided to design this pattern as wall art, which allows us to open our imagination and achieve endless creative possibilities. So she talks about the technique, about the color, about the embellishments that she uses, about the background, and it is just and the things that she added, the different techniques that she used, like Waldeboro, three cut snip, beading, um, anti-Godelin, meaning anti-guideline, lots of different techniques, right? So one of the things that I love about the way that Rug Cooking Magazine has been going lately is that the articles are very transparent and informative. So it used to kind of be a little bit like that, but sometimes I felt like in reading an article that the one piece of information you really needed to be able to do the thing was somehow withheld or not articulated clear enough. Lately, I feel it has been so clear and so helpful. So I'm loving this magazine more than ever. I'm falling in love with it all over again. The next article is called Creatures of the Night. This is the owls article. Owl portraits perfect for winter. Projects and photography by Chris Antle, Antle. So I won't go into this oh, I don't have it on there. I'll have to hold it up. It goes through it shows you a bunch of owls, right? I'm sorry, my brain's not working that well. It shows you a bunch of owls, and it tells you a little bit about each owl. It's kind of like a combination naturalist book, and all of these beautiful patterns of these beautiful owls. I mean, it really is incredibly beautiful. And again, irregular shapes. We're seeing so many irregular shapes lately in magazines and everything that we look at that has to do with rug cooking. But really interesting to read a little bit about each one and to see the faces of all of these different birds. Really pretty. Oh, it goes on further than I thought. And there's even some instruction on whip stitching, finishing the edges. So sometimes that's not part of it, but in this case it is part of it. Really lovely article. The next article is called Encore Performance, Going Public with a Hall of Fame Celebration. Introductory text by Norma Press and photography by Catherine Hitchcock. And it's the sort of prologue to the article goes like this. The rug hookers of the Finger Lakes, New York were proud to be represented in the rug show during Sauter Village Rug Hooking Week of 2021, especially by rug celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. Guild member Kathy Perry's rug of abolitionist and suffragist Sojourner Truth earned the Sauter Award for Best in Show. That is quite a distinction. But this is quite a rug. I'll bring it a little bit closer. We usually don't do this anymore, but I didn't have time to do any more photography. Everything about this is just insane, isn't it? I mean, it's just the character, the background, the composition, the text, the leaves. It's just, I think, it's extraordinary. Ain't I a Woman, 30 by 39, number 3 to number 6 cut, designed by Michelle Palmer of Macedon, New York, and hooked by Kathy Peters of Rochester, New York. Um, the title of this rug, wait a minute, let me switch my glasses. I thought those were my readers. I was going to say I got more problems than I think. These are here we go. The title of this rug is from a speech by Sojourner Truth at the Women's Convention in Akron, Ohio, 1851, the year 1851. In the speech, she states the urgent need for the universal equal rights of women, especially black women. Because she was born a slave, Sojourner never learned to read or write, yet she spoke eloquently throughout the country. Her words have resonated down through the centuries, it's one century, but it's down through the decades for sure. I'm such a purist with stuff like that. I'm sorry. As the basis for women of all colors and ethnicities to gain equality and recognition. It is so meaningful. It's crazy. And the fringe on the scarf, I mean, it's just an amazing piece, isn't it? God, look at that background. Look at that background. Oh, look at the face. It's an extraordinary piece. So this particular feature, we're looking at rugs that have to do with the 18th Amendment, so the women's right to vote. And we're looking at, I won't show them too close up because I kind of want to breeze through so we get there. But it's a beautiful article with a lot of humor too. Annie Oakley there. And this one I want to show real close up. So this is no vote, no eggs. I just love this sentiment. No vote, no eggs. Um, 28 by 22, I'm going to show it to you. Number 4 through number 6 cut wool on linen, punch needle attached in trapunto style. We need to talk about trapunto style more. I was looking at the work of Grace Collette when I went to the Hooked in the Mountains show last week, and we will be coming up to that probably this Friday night for a cocktail night. Her work features, Grace Collette's work is just over the top. It's so good. Features a lot of trapunto, which is sometimes confused with Waldoboro because it's raised. It's a completely different technique, and it's not a rug hooking technique. So we'll talk more about that another time. But let me show you this piece, and then I'll read you a little bit more about it. No vote, no eggs. I just love this. And it's the chickens. Let me bring it in so we're in focus. It's the chickens who are protesting. Do you see the sign, Justice Demands the Vote? Do you see how that is much finer and in a much smaller cut in the I Support the Women than the rest of the piece? I mean, they're both pretty fine cuts, but the message is, it's like in scale, right? The sign would be much more small scale, a little printed sign. So just smart, just smart. I love this piece. While searching for early 20th century posters on the suffragette movement, I came across a rather bland one with the quote, "No vote, no eggs," pictured with a few young chicks scratching in the dirt. From that, an idea was born. Since I live in a rural area, I wanted my rug to present an agrarian, oh God, my eyes are playing with me, agrarian take on the campaign that was more commonly portrayed as an urban movement. So, we have the hens militantly marching to proclaim that justice demands the vote. Mr. Rooster proudly lets us know he too supports the women. My rug strives to embody patriotism, militancy, and spirit with a touch of humor. Pat Olson. So this is designed and hooked by Pat Olson from Lyons, New York. Really, really cool. I love that one. I just love that one. No vote, no eggs. But this article is just absolutely beautiful. I really liked this one too. Let me show you one more from this article because it's quite a few pages. This is a Susan B. Anthony coverlet that is 18 by 10 punch needle. And this is miniature punch needle, so this is Russian punch with DMC floss, 6 strands on weaver's cloth. So weaver's cloth is that different backing if you are using a miniature punch needle, which is not the same as a traditional punch needle. So this is a much more small scale piece designed and punched by Michelle Palmer of Macedon, New York. Our daughter, Elena, is a printmaker who enjoys designing silhouettes of ardent Americans. In celebration of the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution and using Elena's rendering of Susan B. Anthony, that's so sweet that she used her daughter's design, I designed this punch needle mat for the Women's Vote Centennial exhibit at Sauter Village, Rug Cooking Week 2021. So this is what it looks like. And again, remember it's miniature punch. Bring it in. Okay, let me get off my stool and try again. Isn't technology fun? Wait a minute. We're going to get there. I'm stubborn enough that we are going to get there. There we go. So you can see in the background, you see that kind of movement. That's super indicative of miniature punch. It looks quite different. What I love about this piece, we have recently been talking a lot about early American coverlets. That is a great coverlet background. That looks like overshot. That is such a cool kind of woven effect in the background. This one spoke to me probably the most. I just love the image. Right? It's very recognizable, Susan B. Anthony, and I just love that background. And then more contemporary pieces with RBG and Harriet Tubman This is a long article. This is really a great article. You're going to enjoy this. Oh shoot, I'm going to have to. You know what? I'm going to bring this one up tomorrow or next time because yeah, I'm not going to even show it to you. I had something on my camera that was very similar from the last month of adventures, and I wanted to show it to you as a comparison, but I forgot. This is a long article, so this is a serious feature that you will really, I think, appreciate and enjoy. And there's another feature. Oh, called it's a designer showcase called Snow Day, a Winter Wonderland project in photography by Sherilyn Brubaker of Hooked Treasures. Oh, this is so cute. Let's look at this and then we'll close on that. Um, this is a really good article. There is more. There's more than I thought. I'm deciding what to do. There is more than I thought. Let me just let me show you this briefly. I don't want to hit everything too hard because I want you to enjoy the article when you get the magazine. So Snow Day is part of a feature that's an ongoing feature called Designer Showcase. So they're using the design of someone who has a rug cooking business, Hooked Treasures, and in this case it is Sherilyn Brubaker, and beautiful, beautiful sort of primitive design of a snow day. All of that energy, all of that celebration and fun and youth and a beautifully rendered line drawing that becomes a great primitive design, very simple, but also showing you some of the tricks to hooking it and showing you the kinds of colors that were used for it. That's very helpful, being able to see what the original color palette was. Really, really good article. And a picture of the article so you can also use it. Fantastic, right? Remember, thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. Reader's Gallery is another feature, The Power of the Raffle Prize. A Lifetime Learner Begins a New Adventure by Kathy Donovan and Elizabeth Henry. So this is another fun piece. And I'm just kind of skimming now because we might return to these. I don't want to cover every article because I feel like it's too much of a spoiler. Then there's this great feature at the end, another ongoing sort of category called Dear Beginner, right? So if you're a beginner rug hooker, this is something that is nice to find at the end of the magazine. It walks you through some simpler projects. This is simple but so lovely. Project in Photography by Lana Armstrong. And this article is about making these small snowflakes. And, for ornaments or whatever, and small things in general, because there's cardinals too. But this is what the article is about. And being able to do stuff like this, you see these mini hoops at Michael's and Joann's. But if you're talking about doing maybe the miniature punch, the Russian punch, and doing even smaller pieces, remember those mini hoops that I've used in the past that are literally this big, like an inch, even more mini? So there's all kinds of possibilities when you get involved in using mini hoops. Then the dyeing article was fantastic. Test direct multiplication. This is under the category of Ask the Experts. So this is a dyeing article. It is technical. It is super handy. Text by Sandra Brown, Susan Nash, and Deb Zved. Photography by Sandra Brown. Quantity dyeing, one value from an 8-value swatch. So for those of you who dye, this is probably the best and most technical article on dyeing that I have seen in a long time. So very, very handy, very technical. But if you dye your you don't need the Rosetta Stone. You already have the information. You understand the terms. It's just telling you what to do. As a beginner dyer, it wouldn't be the first article I would go to. But if you've already done dyeing, this is going to be super interesting and exciting for you. It's going to answer questions and give you a good roadmap to doing more specific dyeing within swatch sets. So really good article, and lots of ads as always. So there's a couple more things in here, but again, I didn't want to spend too much. Oh, this is a good one too. Currier and Ives. This feature. This is something new, I think. It's called First Rug on the Last Page. Currier and Ives Winter Scene, Farm Scene by Betty Laub, Laub. Currier and Ives Winter Farm Scene, number 4, 5, and 6 cut wool on burlap, adapted from Winter in New England, which is a Currier and Ives. But this pattern is by Joan Moshimer and hooked by Betty Laub of Saugus, Massachusetts in 2019. I bought this pattern at a thrift store in New Hampshire for $7. At the time, I didn't even know what it was. I used to rent space in an antique store, and I figured I'd research it and sell it. it I was attracted to the winter scene, and I've always loved snow. The woman's fur hand muff reminds me of the one that I had as a child. Oh, that is so nice. Let me show you. So this is the Carrier and Ives, the winter, what's it called? Winter New England. Right, so that's the actual image, and then these pages are Betty Lobb's version of it. She's talking about the little white muff right here in the sled. What movie does this remind you of? It distinctly reminds me of only one movie. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So it goes on a little bit later with a note from Lisanne Miller at the end, because of course she carries the Joan Moshimer patterns in the Cushing shop. And that is actually the very last page of the magazine. Christmas in Connecticut is the movie that I'm thinking of course, right? That scene is right there in Christmas in Connecticut. So this is, I mean, this is a, Jane, to use one of your words, smashing episode of Jane is from Wales of Rug Cooking Magazine. It really is. It's one of the best, and I think it's my favorite. It's got that festive feel going into, we're into November, but going into December too. Really beautiful. Lots of projects in here to trace and use, right? To use for free for your personal use. Lots of interesting articles. I think it's all super accessible. I love the balance between things that are geared for beginners or people who enjoy primitive with the stuff that's a bit more technical. I love the balance. The balance is right. If this, you know, I'm very unbalanced. So for me, I feel the weight of this is like a seesaw, that this issue is just right here flush. Which is nice. It's a very satisfying issue. So I hope that if yours has not arrived, it will be here soon. And I hope that you subscribe, because it really is, it's an important periodical for us as rug cookers to see each other's work, what's going on, and to gather inspiration, more tricks, more knowledge. And with the tone of the magazine, I think, becoming more and more kind of forthcoming and transparent with tips and ideas and techniques, I think that's super helpful and a good message to be sending out to all hookers, you know, new and old. That if I'm doing something really cool and I'm showing you pictures of it in this article, I'm going to also tell you exactly how I did it, because I hope that you have fun doing exactly the same thing that I did. I'm not going to keep it as a secret and be a beggar sitting on a sack of gold when you might want to do the same thing too, right? So I just love the way the magazine's been. Great movie, Dave. Oh, let's not start our movie talk. We'll never stop. It's almost time for those great movies. And the Hallmark movies are coming out like crazy, all the Christmas ones, right? I'm getting like a bit sucked into, more than a bit sucked into that too. It's just, yeah, you can't be, I mean, you can watch them from laying on the floor if you're like me, but you can't be in a horrible mood when you're watching Hallmark movies. They're so cheerful and corny, aren't they? I love them. So, hey, have a great rest of your day. Look for some stuff on Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm putting some new stuff out. I'm trying to get it together quickly, and I'm putting out some holiday stuff. I want to finish turkey, just to finish turkey. I'm working on orders, of course, but I've got to finish turkey because it's coming up. I never finish anything because I always keep going with other projects and running in a million directions, and that's why I think I snap so much. But I really want to finish that so I can put it up on the wall and know that it's done, right? It's driving me nuts. But be looking later in the day for that new Design Like class, Designing Like the Great Pattern Makers. That's going to be really helpful to you technically with your hooking, but also for original designing and also altering designs. If you want to add borders or you want to add backgrounds to stuff that is maybe real basic or simple, it's going to be a perfect class for that, because you're going to have a lot of confidence and a lot of techniques, different ways of being able to do that in the future. It's a good trick for your bag of tricks. I will see you on Friday. That is the plan. Hopefully I have a good day today, get some stuff done, and tomorrow, and I will be with you on Friday. My plan is to be on there for cocktail night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you then. If you need me in the meantime, I am at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Have